So there is, yeah, there's 7 embers now. So this is the original one that was in the game before. And there's a few ways that you want to use these embers now. And I think the best one to start with is this one, which is the best ember in the game. I've kind of said on stream and stuff, and in the build video that I've just done, which will be up soon, but this ember is the best ember for getting the max stat rolls on gear. And so you need to remember this because it affects the way you use all the other embers in the game. Previously, this was the best ember because it was the only one, and you used to spam it on all the slots. That's not the best way to use embers right now. Using these embers to re-roll these stats is a waste. You only want to use these embers on the bottom slot now. So fallen embers should only really be used here and to respec, and I'll explain why. The reason is, with this you can now take an enchantment from one piece of gear. So I could take an enchantment by using this. So I could take the barrier gain, and I could put this barrier gain onto another chest. So to show you what that looks like, I've got some here stored already. Drops are on the channel yet. And these ones here are basically essences where I've already took a stat. So I've took this stat off something and stored it, right? Now this is a max roll for barrier on dodge. So there is absolutely no point in re-rolling with these anymore. Why do that when you can just go to another item, take the stat you want off the other item? And what I've done is I've saved items here where they've just got one really good stat. So I've got stats in these 2 chests down here, like this one here. I've saved it for the damage on fatality, the top one. So I can take that stat off, and it's just going to turn into one of those embers that I've just showed you. And I can slot that on another item which is eligible. So you want to remember that this is the best thing in the game because of that reason. Wait for a high roll stat. Could be a terrible piece of gear, but guess what? 10% crit chance, max roll. 10% lightning damage, max roll. So that's all I care about, and that's that gear. I don't care about anything else. Take the max stat, slam it into something else. That's why I think this should be limited to once per item. With this build, I've used it in every slot. Every slot's max roll, basically. Almost. It's pretty much all 100%. And you'll see that in a bit when I show the other embers. But yeah, for this one, this is what you want to do. Save this ember to get the max stats, slam them into gear. This one is the only way you can re-roll the negatives. So let's say you've got a negative on this gear, and you really need max focus, you need to re-roll it. The only way to do it is using a fallen ember. Now bear in mind, you cannot use embers once something's exalted, so just remember that as well. Never exalt anything until you're 100% happy with the stats that you've got on there, but you can use radiance. So radiance have been added to the game, which allow you to boost the maximum value. So it's not exalting. Don't get confused between exalting and the maximum value. So the maximum base value could be 0% to 10%. So this allows you to boost that, but exalting takes you past that. Now if you've already exalted, you might have had a base value of 5%, which could be halfway. So even though you've exalted and boosted that stat, the max potential still can go up for that reason. So if I go onto some of these stats, this is at 90%. It can go up 2% if I click this, which is actually really good. So I might use that actually. In fact, I'm going to do that. So that will take it from 90% value, even though it's exalted, 90% to 100%. So it gets a little boost there. So I'm going to do that, and it goes up 2%. Didn't plan on doing that, but it just turns out that was a really good example. Here, 70% to 85%. So this could go to 25% if I had to guess stamina recovery. So that's probably worth me doing at some point. And then here, again, the potential is not 100%. So even though it's exalted, the radiance can boost. So you can use radiance, but you can't use, you cannot use this one to edit the enchantment, and you can't use this either to edit the enchantment once it's exalted. This is a cheap way of exalting. That's all you need to know about this. Kind of irrelevant. Not really much use to that. You can do that already at the Watcher. You can still do the same thing at the Watcher. So don't worry about these too much. But again, don't use this until you're 100% happy with the enchantments. You cannot change the enchantments. You cannot use Fallen Embers. You cannot use this once you've used this or been to the Watcher. So Sublime Embers are basically just exalting. Same as when you go to the Watcher at the top of the tower. Once you get to Pestilence, to use the materials to exalt. So really, really important. Do not exalt until you are 100% happy with the enchantments on the gear. These ones are kind of good, but they're not really that useful endgame. These are pretty good early game. So this one allows you to reset an item, so I haven't really got... I guess I could show an example here of something that's kind of not that good that I've got saved. Like this here is not great, so let's use this axe as an example. So this allows me to reset this item back to a common. The only time you want to do this is when you've got a really good facet. So facets are additional pieces on gear, which you'll see them through the game. So I want to use this here, right? So let's just use it on this item. Now this has become a common. So let's say it's got attack speed on it or something. It will keep the facet, but it will reset everything else. So now I can use these two. So this blue one will turn into a magic. This will turn into a purple. So let's say I want to do a purple. It turns into purple, it gets new stats. This is really good for recrafting, right? Because you might have a really good facet and you want to try and get good stats. So I might go back again and think, oh, actually, I'll give it another go, but I want to try blue this time. So I'm going to try it as a blue instead and see what I get. Well, that's, you know, might think that's not very good, and you can just keep doing that over and over. In this case, I'm just going to leave that and stick it in here, I guess, or sell it. But those three are kind of, they're okay. But the main thing is to remember that you don't want to be using these anymore the way you were before. It's a waste. So only use these fallen embers on purple items to re-roll a negative, and you're good to go. One other thing as well is you can use these on rings. So I can go to a ring and I can boost this stat as well. Really good to know. Really useful. But other than that, those are the key things to know about the embers. I still think unlimited use of embers is a problem. I really think they need to limit purples to 20 rerolls and blues to 10. Double the values from before, sorry. I think that would be a lot better. And I also think the biggest thing I hope the devs do is limit this to once per item. This ember is super, super strong. It's allowed me to make this build perfect, basically, in a couple of days. So I think once you've used this on an item, that item should not be able to use this anymore. It should get like this here is limited to 4, so it should get a blue one as well, since you've used one blue one. So that's limited or whatever. You've capped out. And then same with embers, you know, bring them back to 0 to 20, 0 to 10 here, and then 0 to 20 for purples. Then I think it would be a lot better. But that's how you want to get the most out of the embers. You know, this is the big one. Use this one first. Save this for the negatives. And only exalt and use this once you're really happy with the stuff you got on there. That's the only time to do it. And you should be alright.